Nicholas.
Oh boy. Yeah,
Knock,
what?
knock, knock.
Who's there?
Honeybee.
Honeybee who?
Honeybee a deer and go get me some fucking juice. And welcome back to TLDR. I'm your friendly neighborhood backcracker, Dr. Joe. With me, as always, is my partner in crime. There we go. Together we are the Woodward Birds, the Dork Shared Gooniverse. And I gotta tell you, Nicholas, we got some shit cooking.
Yeah, we have some shit cooking, but now I'm just the partner in crime now. So is that like
I got you and Billy mixed up. My bad.
Yeah. That. Oh! You get me and Billy mixed up. That's what it is now. Okay, so it's not bad enough you have to do a show with that bastard. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, before now that the show's already off the rails, yes, we do have things cooking, and it is a good time to remind everybody that if you haven't already, if you're just coming across us on Twitter randomly, or if you're just listening to us for the first time, make sure you go check out more of our audio versions of the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Geeks Worldwide Radio. And make sure if you like us, you subscribe, and please leave a rating review. That would be a huge help for the show. You also can find us on YouTube, where we do trim some stuff up too. So if you like the video but can't always be here, you don't want to have to scroll through, we always post our what's new. Today we're only doing what's new because, yes, Joe, we do have things cooking. That means that for those new to the show, if we are doing a what's new episode and not a mainline or something like a solicit in a given week, that means that we have interviews scheduled for you guys. So we have some things cooking. We should be doing something right after the show as long as nothing comes up. So make sure you subscribe, because that'll get delivered right to wherever you listen to us. But enough of that. It's time for us to get to your favorite part of the show and my least favorite part, catching up. Joe, what books did you get back to getting onto?
So here's a little peek behind the curtain. A lot of the books that I read this week were in preparation for the person who will be speaking to this week. So if you're watching and listening, there's a little tease for you. So Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, #4. Love the series. It's been fun. I think that was the last issue, or I think this might only be like one issue left. It's a fairly short series, but I've been enjoying that. Been catching up on Shang-Chi 7 and 8. This has been weird. So I think this was originally only supposed to be a 6-issue series, and then it got extended. And they extended it fairly late in the game too, because when I read issue 7, at the end of it, I believe it said to be concluded next, and I read issue 8 and it says to be continued. So I think it might have gone from 6 to 9 issues, but anyways,
it's at 12 now.
It's at 12, right?
Because I saw they're still going. So there must have been some changes and some, I guess, errors in the printing process. But like, I got an email from Marvel the other day that said like Shang-Chi issue 12. It was like him with the 10 rings, I think.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And I reviewed, or I talked about the first Shang-Chi run from a couple years ago. That was tremendous. This one's even better. It's got a lot of great stuff going on. I'm enjoying that. All caught up on Wolverine. Issues 18 and 19. I love the story that Ben Percy's been talking about there. I especially loved issue 19, which was the last issue before the X Lives, X Death of Wolverine series, because it was sort of a standalone issue. It felt like it had a very old man in the sea kind of feel to it. There's something about it I enjoyed, so I loved catching up on that. Much to my chagrin. And to Friar's happiness, I guess.
Yeah, my enjoyment. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I read Inferno issues 1 through 4,
and
it was good, but man, it was fucking long.
Yep, I understand it was long.
It is wordy as hell, but the way that 4-issue series ended was fantastic. And I mean, you were absolutely right, because I said fuck it. I did start to read X Deaths of Wolverine 1, and it's like, nah, I gotta read this. So I went back, got through that. I'm all caught up on X Deaths of Wolverine 1 and 2. I mean, that series, this event that's going on, they're two different stories, and I can't wait to see how they come together. They're both wildly different in tone and everything, but absolutely fantastic.
It's really weird how we know that they're intertwined because they've made like connections within the course of our reading, but still, like, I'm still trying to figure out like how exactly is this all kind of going to come together. I think with what happened this week in X Lives, now that I'm talking out loud about it, I may have an idea of what happened, but it still seems like so much is up in the air. And again, this is Benjamin Percy's Ultimate Wolverine story. It definitely has that kind of feeling. Like there's some serious stuff going on with just this character alone, and then the forces that he's kind of going against and working alongside.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you read Inferno. It was really good. Like I know I'm the one who complains about too much narration and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
I felt like everything like was necessary in that story, honestly.
Well, so I think the problem I was having is that when reading like House of X, that was
Mm,
tremendous. Like I
mm,
feel like that was Hickman's X-Men writing at his best and
mm.
storytelling at his best. Whereas Powers of 10, that was Hickman with the data pages and just the
That one was tough.
exposition and just a lot of dialogue, a lot of explanation. And
Yeah.
so Inferno, for the first half of it, was definitely very much along those same lines. But then we get to issues 3 and 4, and it gets more into the storytelling part of it, like the shit that's going on with Krakoa and Charles and Magneto and Mystique, and I mean, just it was awesome. Like the last 2 issues were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
The first 2 issues, oh, woof.
it
But
is.
the more Emma Taggart stuff was that you get in issues 3 and 4, and then what you get in issues 1 and 2 of X Deaths.
Yeah.
She's my favorite part of all of this. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's an interesting little tie-in with this like the way that they've brought this character in and how much of an impact she has on like the mutants like
Because I
place in the
completely
world.
forgot because it's been so long since I've read House of X and how integral she was in that
Mm.
series and how important she was. And like you don't have you don't have where we are with X-Men without her. She's the
Yeah.
linchpin. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
just but like to make her the linchpin too is just such
Yeah.
a decision I would never ever think of
Yeah,
personally.
because she was like just a sort of throwaway character,
Mhm.
in the
But if
past. But
but anyways, but like you said, but you've like me, you have read House of X, you've read Powers of 10, took a long break from all the other stuff because there's just so much X-Men stuff, and for you, the data pages was too much. But then back to Inferno, and only reading Wolverine and consistently. I know you're back on X-Men too. I've kind of I'm not. I'm just behind on it. I'm not going to not read it, but I got behind on it. But you were still able to pick up Inferno and be just fine, and now you're rolling with X Deaths, right? No issues.
yeah, well, that was the thing is that what Hickman did well is that he when they kicked off this new run of X-Men, 2 years ago, whatever it was now, they did a really good job at putting the pieces into place. And like I read the first, I think it was 8 issues of X-Men back then before I said, okay, I had enough. But by that point, I'd already had a good primer of everything. I
Mm,
was reading Marauders for a bit. I was reading Excalibur for a bit. Like
mm.
it became too many titles and too many data pages that I said, okay, I'm
A lot of
done.
titles.
But I'm glad that I've picked it back up because what Duggan's doing with X-Men now has been fantastic. What Percy's doing with Wolverine and now his event has been fantastic. How that's all tying in. There's a lot of intrigue. It's X-Men. It's different, right?
Mhm.
It's different. It's not the X-Men that we grew up with, and I like that. I just need less exposition.
The thing with the X-Men too now, it's like there's that like you anytime you listen to an interview with Marvel people, I think Percy actually like tweeted out about how like he didn't like seeing Chip Zdarsky hanging around in the X office. Like that's its own thing right now. Like I don't know how
Yeah,
long that's always been the case, but like when you look at what's happened under Hickman, where he's kind of overseeing everything, you brought up all the titles. Like right now, I feel like all the X-Men stuff could be like its own indie publisher right now and be fine and do it and be its own thing. It's
yeah.
just so busy, and there are a lot of people who really like what's going on too. It seems like.
Yeah. They've really turned things around because they did lose me for a while, and I think they lost a
Mm.
lot of people for a while, and they've reined it back in a bit, which I think has been great. So
I do like the idea of reining it back in. I think
yeah.
that's huge. As for me catching up, I
Well,
caught up on
I'm not fucking done, Nicholas.
what else is there.
Hotel number 3.
Oh, oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, which I did actually. Okay, that was on my catching up list too. I apologize.
Yeah. So we were a little disappointed with issue 2. It
Yes.
just kind of felt out of place for Hotel. This issue 3, right back. Got
Right back.
right back to what makes Hotel special. It had that hotel vibe to it, that hotel creepiness to it. Still tying things together. I mean, issue 2, definitely played a bit more of a role than I thought it was going to in this issue, but it didn't take away. So glad to see that book back on track.
Yeah, this was like you texted me and you were like, "It's you read it before I did." Back on track, awesome. And I read it, felt exactly the same way. I think it improves issue two because of the tie-in stuff. Absolutely right. Like, I don't think it ruins it in any capacity. I think it kind of enhances what the story going forward into these the final 2 issues of volume 2. But yes, it did have like what we want out of Hotel. We got that in this issue 100%. Then you're kind of expanding more. So like it was a great bounce back issue. And honestly, like if we look back on Hotel 2 and it's like that's the only one that we didn't like through 2 volumes of this, like I mean, like it was fine. Like it wasn't like terrible. Like it was fine. But like if that's as bad as
it was
gets,
just missing some of that Hotel luster.
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to do too much at once. And yes, that luster is a great point. If that's as bad as it gets, like like Hotel's fine. Like it's
I'm not worried
still
about it.
awesome horror book among the top 10 hashtag dork books. We did that a while back with Rich and Davey. Go check that out. I think it was only on their YouTube page, but very much enjoyed that and still stand by that being. Oh, yes, that's right. So can I get to my list now? Is that okay?
Yeah. Now it's acceptable. I finished what I need to discuss.
So I finished Batman the Detective. It was issues 5 and 6 that were left. That is Tom Taylor book. Actually, you had not read, and you just I just don't remember what it was, but like this is before Taylor really blew up on your radar. For me, like it was like there's obviously there's so much stuff to be reading right now, and it kind of fell by the wayside. Still thought it was a good book. Ends up finishing out well. I'd say this is a rock solid book. I don't think I would necessarily do it on TLDR. I think I would be forcing it just a smidge. I do think if you're a longtime Batman fan, you will enjoy it. I think if you aren't, like if you're kind of like, I like Batman, but like I don't need to read as much of his stuff or whatever, then you're probably going to be fine not reading it. It's like it's a good book, but it's not like one of these all-time Batman books. It's a fun read, but by no means is this like a character changing story whatsoever. But a cool
I read
villain,
the first
cool
issue,
concept.
liked it enough, but just fell off. I just like there was too many books going on at the time, and I just couldn't keep up.
And for us, that's always going to be a problem. So like, and that's where that's why I'm like, especially now where we have when it comes to our mainline episodes, like there can be days where it can be months where we're not doing a mainline episode. That's going to happen. But like, so now I'm getting we're even getting tougher. Like, what books do we want to do on this show? I do think most people will enjoy this, but I just don't feel like this is one like, God, Joe, I gotta tell you about Batman the Detective. I feel like if you have time at some point, you won't regret reading it. But if you never do read it, I think you'll end up being okay.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
So it's so a solid book. Like I would say like an 8, 7.5, somewhere in that range. I like the art too, although Bruce Wayne does kind of look a little odd. I think it's Kubert who's doing the art, like, and he does a lot of Wolverine stuff. Gets a little too Wolverine with his look, but like but the Batman side of it looks great. We mentioned Hotel 3, Aquaman, Green Arrow, Deep Target, issue 4. This title really surprised me at first, and I feel like it's going to be 7 issues. I think it's kind of fallen under the Batman detective, like where it's like I'm going to end up liking this. I'm going to enjoy it. If you're a Green Arrow fan, I don't know if there are many Aquaman fans out there, but if you're a Green Arrow fan, you'll end up having a fun time with this. By no means is this like an epic thing or whatever. We'll see. Definitely took an interesting turn at the end of this issue. But like, it just seems like it's like a fun read, not like this crazy, like, wow, we got to tell you guys about this book. But still a little ways to go there. Also picked up a couple of things from indie companies that that aren't normally on my radar. Source Point Press is one that I talked about. That one where it's like the dog basically turns into John Wick instead of like John Wick.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a second issue from them on that yet. I know smaller indies kind of run into publishing issues sometimes, never mind the printing stuff that like Marvel or DC deals with. But I read Shelter Division issue 1. Not for me. Didn't particularly love it. I don't even know if I'd say it was not for me. Like that's for books that like, there are some times where there are books that like are targeted for different people and they still like, it doesn't mean we can't like them. They just don't hit home with you or I. In this case, it's just, I don't know that it was great. Is really what it comes down to. So we'll leave it at that. Also picked up Life Zero issue 1. This is from Ablaze, a company I don't think we've ever talked about on this show.
No.
But I started reading Animal Kingdom by them, which I've read the first 2 issues of that too. That should also be on my catching up. That book is on pace to be a TLDR worthy book.
No.
Animal Kingdom is awesome. It's like a play on Animal Farm, but like more fucked up. So I really like that. Life Zero issue 1. I saw the art and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. And then they have it across the top. Marco Cicchetto is the artist from Devil's Reign and Daredevil with Zadarski. Speaking of which, I did read Devil's Reign X-Men, which was good. But for Life Zero issue 1, it's like a zombie book. It feels like I don't know if it's going to be like this crazy different thing. I think it's just kind of going to be a fun book. I like Cicchetto's art. Obviously, you do too. So I'm going to stick on this. By no means am I calling dibs. But I don't.
Dibs. Be a man.
I mean, like Joe. I called dibs on a book like King of Spies, where I'm like, this is a book I expect to be.
I just called dibs on a book that doesn't come out for almost a month.
But you read it already, the first issue, did you not? And does it feel like a book that's a TLDR worthy book?
100%.
Okay. So I don't know that Life Zero is there. I think Life Zero might be more the Aquaman, Green Arrow, Batman the Detective range. Still the first issue. Now, King of Spies, issue 3 came out last week. We don't get review copies for that from Image. I'm sure that's a Millar choice or whatever. He doesn't really need the help. This series has been fucking awesome. Issue 1 was a 10 out of 10. I would say issue 2 was like, I'd put it somewhere like maybe like a 8.5, 9. It was still really good, but like definitely not as good as the first one.
But man,
and then,
issue 3.
What?
Issue 3.
Yeah, you're such a dick. Issue 3 was a 9.5, no questions asked for me. Awesome issue. We see there's some characters we got introduced to in issue 2 who we see more of in issue 3, and they're on the main cover. What is it? It's Itzy and Idris, spelled like Idris Elba. These 2 characters are fucking awesome. And I think I tweeted this out when I put this as my comic of the week because no questions asked it is. I would love to see a spinoff with these 2 characters. They just got such a cool look, and I think their dynamic is so weird. And then the last one for me for catching up before we get to what's new, Basilisk issue 7 from Cullen Bunn. Again, like this was one when it first came out. Like this was my number 1 book for Cullen at that time. Lucky Devil has taken its place, but that's just an awesome book. And the last book you'll ever read is right there with Basilisk. I gotta say, Joe, like this issue, like things got fucking even. Like it's getting. He's turned it up a notch. He did it in the 6th issue. It's even more in this issue. This is already a good series, but it's just getting better and better. So Cullen's like he's on fire right now. And we got to. I know we keep saying it, but we really got to check in with him at some point.
When was the last Lucky Devil?
It's been a while. It's been a while,
right?
I know
I need to catch up on last book you'll ever read too.
Yeah, I think something's been up with that printing because I think the 5th one is on Comixology. I haven't read it, but I haven't gotten the physical copy because that's on my pull list. So that's definitely like on Vault for sure. But we'll have to figure that out at some point. But we digress and progress into what's new because that is what we're here to discuss this week, Joe. I'll kick us off with Marvel. We have Amazing Spider-Man 89. X-Lives of Wolverine issue 3. Again, this series continues to be awesome. We have Devil's Reign Superior 4 issue 2. X-Men 8, which you're reading. Fantastic Four issue 40. You are reading that one too, right? Or is it just the life story? Oh, okay, my mistake. I did end up reading Iron Fist issue 1. This was a solid first issue. If you're at all interested in this kind of stuff, like, hey, I kind of like Iron Fist. I would say give it a shot, but if you don't really care for Iron Fist, like I'd wait a little bit. I will read the 2nd issue and continue to report back until I'm out on it. But like it was solid, nothing more than that. Unlike the book that you made sure to text me about that we read ahead of the show.
Yeah, this series is we've been just waxing poetic about the Hulk, for the past 3 months now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
It's fucking fantastic. And I read this one and the way it ended, like it was a good issue all the way through. We're on a different earth right now, but the way it ended, just like those like the last few pages, because you have no idea, who that kid is, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit.
Mm.
Yes, I am in.
Mhm.
This has been such a good book. This is already a strong contender, not just for possible book of the year, Nicholas,
Mm.
but definitely a strong contender for didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
this is so we're in the fourth issue of this, and we may have to modify some of our rules for how that all comes down to, because I feel like we in the past have we done like it had this start in that year for our annual, or do we do it separate? Like it's just throughout the year, it doesn't
I
matter.
would say whatever year has the most amount of issues. Like if it was like 6 issues in coming in to this year,
Mm.
I'd
Yeah,
say
we would have known by
no,
then.
right?
Yeah.
But like issue 4, right? So it was what, November it started,
Mm.
December, right? So like, yeah, it was only 2 issues. There's gonna be more issues in
Mm.
2022 than but we can,
Mm.
it's our show, Nicholas. We can fudge the rules however we deem fit.
100%. Absolutely. So yeah, I planned on reading this beforehand. But man, you texted me and I was like, okay, like I got to finish Iron Fist because I was in the middle of that, and then I went to pick up Hulk because I could have easily gone to Devil's Reign Superior 4, which I didn't actually get to beforehand this week. But man, like this was you weren't kidding. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy how like
Book
Kate's
of the
kid.
week, hands down, so far.
Okay, so it is. I said it was that was
I
my
know.
book of the week, and you said, "Okay, you're such a dick." Wow. Okay, I text Joe that I'm like, and I say this is the book of the week, and then he's like, "Well, have you read this and have you read that?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't read this one. I'm behind on this book." Such a dick. Didn't even matter. Felt the same way. But yeah, I think that I think that this was an outstanding issue. And what's crazy to me about Kate's, and look, we see it in crossover to some extent, but this is a legacy character. It's a little different. It's amazing how he can make things kind of get a little bit wacky, but in at least art does play into that. But things can get a little bit wacky, but at the same time, it can get really intense and feel like it has like serious ramifications. And you can see characters like beloved characters getting fucking beheaded.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have the stuff that happens at the end, but then at this, like it's just the range of emotions and the range of things he tries to do, and it's just like it all fits. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, this is a quintessential Black Label type book,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And he's being able, take having the story take place on a different Earth allows Kate's
Yeah.
some leeway to do some really fun things, right?
Hmm.
This is like what I wanted from What If, right? I wanted them to just get really fun with it, they didn't really go there. Like Cates is going there. He is taking he's taking the epitome of a one note fucking character,
Mm.
and he's making it one of the most interesting, dynamic, you know, must read books going on right now.
Yeah. The Bruce
And
Banner
what
stuff is crazy.
the
It's
Bruce
awesome.
Banner stuff is crazy. Just what he's doing, sort of with the Marvel Universe characters in general,
Engine Room.
right? And that entire concept, like that that is so meta,
Yeah.
with what he's doing with the Hulk right now. Like, if you're not a Hulk fan, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Get off your fucking horse. Read this book.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a Hulk fan. You're not a Hulk fan. I'm even more so than you. And this is one of the best books that's coming out
Yeah,
every month. 100%.
yeah,
Like this might be. Wolverine has been awesome. I'm trying to think what else. Obviously Daredevil stuff is great too. This is up there for the best stuff that Marvel's putting out monthly, and it's just the
yeah,
best stuff. Some of the best stuff in comics. Period.
yeah. Marvel's having the sort of surge that DC sort of had last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, let's pivot into DC now. Why don't you take us through what came out that's on our radar this week?
So the Flash number 779, Wonder Woman number 784, and then three great books here. Detective Comics 1053.
Mm.
Again, this just continues to be a really fun story going on right
I
now.
don't know how you're keeping up with it.
Well, it's free. If it wasn't free, I wouldn't be.
Well, that's right. You get review copies. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just still
It's been weekly for a month and a half, 2 months now, maybe.
that's a lot for you to stay on. That's what I mean.
That's 100% Mariko Tamaki's storytelling. She's telling a really great story right now, one that I'm fully engaged in. And what I like about this is what it's kind of killing me with this next book, Nightwing, is that you've got the Bat family, playing, a predominant role in Detective Comics, and it has nothing to do with the Nightwing series. Yet
Hmm.
we get to Nightwing, and you texted me earlier, said, yeah, Nightwing was good, but he's part of another little mini crossover event here. It's granted it's only going to be 2 issues.
Yeah, and
but
one of them is going to be Son of Kal-El. So
right, and so I was thinking about this, Nicholas. Right, so we had 2 issues of Nightwing that were part of Fear State. Right, so that's 2 months.
Yeah, 2. Okay, yeah.
I think it was 2. It was 2 or 3, whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll just say it was 2, for example. That's 2 months of Nightwing now that takes us out of the story that we had been loving so much. Then we leave Fear State. We get that awesome issue with no panels, right? But that wasn't really. It really didn't tie into the story. It was just like sort of like a moment in time.
It was an experience for us. Yeah, that's all.
Right. So now that's 3 months where we've been separated from the story. That has been great about Nightwing. And then we get the last issue. Okay, we're back. We're diving back into Bloodhaven and what's going on. And now it's going to be another month or 2 taking us out of that story to do this little crossover. It's like, I mean, it's great writing. I enjoyed the issue very much. But what was elevating Nightwing was the story that Taylor was telling. And while these other things have been fine, it's like just get back to it. You want to have Nightwing be in some of these other books, then just have Nightwing be in those other books like they're doing with Detective Comics. You don't need to sacrifice his main title, his main line for the purpose of telling a story we may or may not be interested in.
It's funny. So I'm with you in the sense that like I would like them to get back to what he's trying to do as Dick Grayson. I think there's a lot there with that. I forget the guy who steals the hearts.
And the thing with his sister too that we get introduced to, and then we haven't heard that story in like 5 months.
Yeah, I would like to get back on track with that. I'm with you on that. But as I'm hearing you say that, I'm also kind of having this like it's putting it into a different perspective for me as you list it all off, because like this is like the problem that Dick Grayson has. Like he has to help everybody out, and he's constantly bouncing around to all these different things and never sticking with himself. Like now, like I have an appreciation. I don't know if it's done deliberately by Taylor. I feel like it's been done by other writers in the past too, but like I don't know if it's done deliberately, but I have like an appreciation for it now that you're saying all this, where it's like, yeah, this is like what happens with Dick Grayson though. Like this is like he has this thing he wants to do. He gets started towards it, and then he gets pulled in one direction, and then another, and
give
then
me
another.
that in his own book.
I understand that is happening in his own book with Fear State, and then with Kal-El now for like the 2 issues. Like there are these different things that are pulling away. I think it's a little too like much of a meta move for it to like really hit home, because I've been reading Nightwing for quite a while. When Ben was writing them, I read him. When Kyle Higgins was writing them, I read him. Like it's I've been reading for a while. If that's been done deliberately over time, it's a reach. But I like now I'm seeing it.
It's just
so it's kind of funny.
There was such a good thing cooking there, and the momentum has just come to a halt.
Yeah, it'd be funny if Taylor actually like acknowledged how he's been jerked around in the course of one story, and like how I haven't been back to it. That would make it all worth it. Like it'd be like, okay, yeah, like this is, and that's what I'm talking about. But but yeah, like I read it and it was like, yeah, it's fine, but like it's what more are we gonna say other than I guess like the complaints that we have about it. The actual story. It's just kind of like, okay, cool, like Kal-El stuff, yeah, interesting, but only so much. So, what's the other book that came out from DC though that I was like, this one was awesome, was Zadarski's Batman the Night issue 2.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing like, so when this first was announced, I remember like we've said it before, like Davey from #Dork was like, haven't we done this before? Haven't they talked about pre-Batman before? This is Batman like growing up and him developing in time. And it's funny actually reading this and finishing off the Batman the Detective, because you're dealing with Ducard in both of these circumstances. So it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like the character that we get introduced to in this issue, who's like teaching Bruce some shit. I don't know her from like time. Maybe that's just me like for losing her in the course of time, but like her whole concept is really cool, and everything with her and Bruce, I love the dynamic.
Everything about this issue was fantastic, and it was so classic Zadarski. It just was, I think what we liked about the first issue of this was we're seeing Bruce Wayne, and we're seeing a young Bruce Wayne in a way we don't typically see him. Like we've seen the angry kid before, but this is different. I don't want to say there's a bit of malevolence in his character, but there's definitely a grit. There's definitely an edge that we don't typically see, and especially in this issue, we see a side of Bruce Wayne just being a complete and utter fuck up.
Mm,
Because I think we're so used to just seeing, like, even in Batman Year One by Frank Miller,
mm,
yeah, he makes mistakes as he's learning and sort of growing into his role to become Batman, but not like we get in this issue. Like, it's amateur hour for
mm,
Bruce. And I loved the dynamic between him and this other character. She's like, and I loved her reasoning for it. She's
mhm.
like, there's potential in you, and I want you to catch all the other people so that you make my job easier.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. It's
And
awesome.
just the way the relationship between those two, because I talked about this last week on Sex Criminals. It's something about Zadarski. It's what I love about him. His understanding of characters, his understanding of relationships, human emotions, things like that. So, like, he brought elements of that here, and then the way it ended, like,
Well, and when you
so good.
think about
This is not just oh, how Bruce Wayne became Batman story. It's so much more.
it's enhancing the character even more because when you talk about the like understanding relationships, so Bruce hasn't like when you look at Bruce's choice in women over the years, right? As a
Yeah,
kid, like his mom passed away early, and like whether or not you like want like you can get into all the psychological stuff, but like his mom, seems like very different from the people that Bruce has been attracted to, whether it's
yeah,
Talia al Ghul or Catwoman, and others. Like it's a bit different, but you
yeah,
see this person who's like showing an interest in him, being a teacher, and obviously an attractive like this is why he fell for Catwoman years later because of
yeah,
her, like because of his
yeah,
experience.
yeah. It was. This is going to be another one that's going to, I think, has the potential to be in contention at the end of the year. It's so
Mm.
fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Zadarski, so like we have, you and I are gonna have confidence in it, no matter what. But like it is still, yeah, a surprising book, for sure.
Yeah,
I feel like we're gonna have a few for this list. It kind of depends on how you're interpreting the surprise too. Like, is
yeah.
it like I didn't think this was gonna be good and it's awesome, like Hulk, just because we don't care for Hulk, or is it like we thought this was gonna be good, but like it was outstanding,
Yeah.
which that is on pace for. But we move to Image. We have King Spawn issue 7, of course, Sean Lewis. If you want more on that, we've had him on a few times to talk about the Scorched and King Spawn. Obviously, we're really enjoying this series. The best Spawn book of the 4 that are going on right now, and one of my favorite books, period, in comics. A Man Among Ye issue 8. I think I'm either 2 issues behind or I just haven't read issue 8. We have Primordial issue 6. This is the finale. You've been on this. Of course, that's from Jeff Lemire. Homesick Pilots issue 12, which is on your pull list, and then Deep Beyond issue 12. There's also Time Before Time issue 10, which I know you plan to get to at some point down the line. What's the furthest place from here? Issue 4, which the first
I
issue.
have to catch up on this one big time. I only read the first issue.
Yeah, I didn't catch up on this one either, but like we didn't love the first issue either, and unfortunately, that's going to happen sometimes. Like, and these
Yeah.
are like huge. The first one was like a triple size issue too, so it was like
Yeah.
had to take a shower afterwards. Then for trade paperbacks, before we get into the 2 books that we kind of want to expand on more, Ordinary Gods Volume 1. We've been talking about this. We really enjoy it. There's a lot to this world, and definitely in trade paperback form, this is going to be good for you guys to pick up. We had Kyle Higgins on the show a while back. If you want to know more about this series, go back and search through our archives and look for the Kyle Higgins conversation. Undiscovered Country, Volume 3, trade paperback is out this week. Of course, we've had Snyder on a few times. We haven't talked about this as much as I would have liked, but we've gotten to it a little bit here and there. He's just got so much going on. But another series I enjoy. And then I just talked about Sweet Paprika from Mirka Andolfo last week. She's writing it and drawing it. Volume 1 of the trade paperbacks, so the first 6 issues are out this week, and issue 7 just came out last week. So make sure you guys go pick that up if you haven't already. If you want something a little risque, if you're worried, I will say if you're worried about seeing what people see you picking up, then I don't know. You're gonna have to talk yourself up, I guess, before you go to your local comic shop or something, and make sure maybe that you're
Put this at the bottom of your stack when you're walking up to the register.
That's wow. It sounds like you have a little experience in this field.
Big brain play,
Yeah, look at that.
Ain't my first rodeo.
Now we've got 2 other ones that we want to expand on a little bit more from Image this week. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's go with Righteous Thirst for Vengeance,
Okay.
because this is a book that, I mean, the first 3 issues I think we read in a total of 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It was like,
Well, I was telling Lauren about it, and I said like the first issue like had like 20 words in it, and she was like,
yeah,
"What?" Huh?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
just, and it's the weirdest thing. This is one of those books where it's just like, this is this is a really interesting story, but I don't know exactly what's going on, right? Because
No.
not a lot is being said. It's all it's virtually, all visual, and then issues 4 and then issues 5. Like the action and the dialogue really picks up in these two issues,
Mm,
and issue number 5 is just like start to finish. It is chock full of action,
yeah.
and I still have no idea where it's going.
Mm.
Even though I mean I've got a sense of it, like it's just that it's one of the strangest books I've read. I absolutely love it.
It's
Um,
a lot. Like
yeah,
this issue is awesome. It's the intrigue. It's amazing how we only know so much about what's going on, but the intrigue that we both have in this story is just like
yeah.
like like how often can you say like I don't entirely know what's going on with the book, but like I'm absolutely going to read it this week. Like this is not one
I
that's
can't put it down. Yeah,
yeah, this is not one that like maybe sometimes we haven't expanded on it a whole hell of a lot before the show, but because it's so fast and because like it helps feed into stuff. And I will say with this issue too, because things move so quickly, you like learn like you're dealing with a character where it's like, oh, okay, this is working out kind of well for this situation for the main character we've been dealing with. And then it's like, no, 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 like somebody didn't trust this and they were right to not trust it because
yeah,
things went sideways very quickly.
yeah,
And it's a lot. Like
yeah.
we don't have you never want to know exactly where things are going with a book because then obviously that means like the writers aren't doing necessarily a great job. But man, like this is next level shit.
Yeah, it really is. Remender is really, really killing it with this one.
I almost think that like when I kind of want to know if this is like going to be a 12 issue story or whatever. Maybe it's best that we don't. But
I want to know. I want to know because I need to know. Like, okay, how many more issues do we have left? Is this I don't know. This is one I really don't feel like it should go on too much longer. I mean, we're at what issue 5 now. I mean, this book could entirely be wrapped up next issue.
yeah.
But I would think 8, 9, 10 would be the sweet spot.
Yeah, I think that that would be the sweet spot. And like I'm like the thing is though, like, oh, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I apologize. I got a little confused there. But I think that 10, 12, 8, somewhere in that range would be good. What I was gonna say was I think that like when this is done, we haven't done this on the show because always do like for our mainline stuff we want to have books that you and I have the other hasn't read, but there are times where obviously we have books we would like to expand on more. This is one where I would almost consider like we need to figure out a way to do that
Yeah.
because like and not just like a Three Jokers treatment because and that would be like a spoiler filled kind of episode, but like honestly, Joe, I wouldn't care because like we put the warning signal out and let people know like, hey,
Yeah.
like we need to piece this together because like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
what happened most
Yeah.
of the way.
Yeah.
But before we fly through all these other indies that we had come out this week, I know Silver Coin 9 came out. I'm behind on this. I think 2 issues right now. I think I read 7, haven't read 8 or 9. How's it going with this?
Fantastic. Absolutely
Okay,
fantastic.
good.
Issue 9 was a writer that's unknown to me. I can't remember the right author's name, but such a good story. And even issue 8 was really good as well. So it's outside of maybe one issue. This has just been a total
Yeah,
home run of a series.
it's wild. The one issue too, like you never would have guessed it. I mean, but it's those freaking eye worms, man.
No, Jesus.
Get out of my face with that stuff. But yeah, I got to get back on top of the Silver Coin because was definitely one of the best books to come out of the
Yeah.
last year. I will take us through the other indies that came out this week. We got Boom, Power Rangers issue 16, the end of the Altarian War. I wish I did not read this yet. I will report back in catching up next week. Absolutely. Angel issue 2. I still need to read Angel 1. We have Regarding Oswald's Body issue 4, which Joe is reading. Cloaked issue 3 from Dark Horse, which we've both been enjoying that so far. Aftershock, we have Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning issue 3, and The Lion and the Eagle issue 1. From IDW, Joe has Usagi Yojimbo issue 26. Canto 3, Lionhearted issue 6, my least favorite title out there, but I'm getting better with it. From AWA, of course, you're reading Crimson Cage issue 3 is out this week, and we're both reading Knighted issue 4 is out. One of our favorite titles right now at AWA. Valiant, really the only thing we read from Valiant these days is Shadow Man. Issue 6 is coming out. Issue 5 was awesome. Talked about that a little while, I think a couple issues ago. Anyways, to round things out, we have from Titan, Blade Runner Origins issue 9, which you are, of course, reading. We're not doing the what is it? We're not doing
Failed
the
Superheroes Club.
Failed Superheroes Club because we're an abbreviated show this week. But make sure you keep your peepers popped. You guys are doing season 4, episode 2 of Psych this week.
Yep.
Look at that. I was right. Okay, so make sure you guys go check that out. And if you want some post Valentine's Day stuff, go check out what we did on Change My Mind. We did our top breakups in cinema of all time, or at least our favorite ones. So go check that out. Until next week, Joe, stay sexy.
You know it.